Hello, fellow Good Omens fans. I'm Cindaria, and this is my first theory video. I haven't dived into Reddit or Twitter to see what other people have to say about this idea. It's probably been covered extensively, but I wanted to put my own unfiltered thoughts out there. Let me open by saying this video is full spoilers for Season 2 of Good Omens, so if you haven't finished watching the show, what are you doing here? Go watch it! Then come back and watch this. This theory is concerning the miracle that Crowley and Aziraphale performed together in episode 1 of the second season, and how it affects the finale of season 2, and what it might mean for the story of season 3. Personally, I think it's not just important, but absolutely vital to the story arc. Will there even be a season 3? Well, I'm going to be like Crowley and use my imagination. Right now, I'm sitting at my desk imagining that there will be a season 3. Since I am not a supernatural being, it won't really do anything, but it can't hurt. And it makes me feel better. Okay, I'm going to explain the theory in full, but I'd like to lay the groundwork first. So let's go over the facts of the miracle in question that's central to this theory. In the first episode of season 2, after the Archangel Gabriel arrives at Aziraphale's bookshop, naked and missing his memories, Crowley and Aziraphale decide that they have to hide him from heaven, hell, and everyone really. Aziraphale states that heaven would notice even the tiniest miracle on his part, so they come up with a plan to work together and perform half a miracle each. They each take one of Gabriel's, aka Jim's, hands, and Crowley makes it clear that this has to be the smallest, most insignificant whisper of a miracle either of them has ever performed. And let's remember, Aziraphale has, in the past, miracled turnips into inkwells, so they're aiming for something below that, I guess. After they perform the shared miracle, they aren't even sure it took, so they clearly did their best to keep it very small and quiet. Of course, they failed spectacularly, and in the next scene, in heaven, the angel Aziraphale is showing the other angels that a massive miracle has taken place at Aziraphale's bookshop. In episode 2, Shax pops in to visit Crowley and tells him a miracle of enormous power happened last night, the kind of miracle only the mightiest of archangels could have performed. Next, the angels visit Aziraphale in his bookshop, and Aziraphale describes the miracle to him as nearly 25 Lazari. Crowley later jokes to Aziraphale that they measure it in how many people they can raise from the dead. Again, this was Crowley and Aziraphale trying their very, very hardest to perform the smallest possible miracle, and yet together it was equivalent to the grandest miracle that the most powerful angel could perform alone. A bit of a side note here, it's been made fairly clear Crowley was a higher-ranking angel than Aziraphale before his fall or saunter. With his ability to access the files on Gabriel later in the season, and the fact that he literally created the stars in the beginning, many fans theorize that he was originally one of the archangels, and there are many theories about which one, and what order he was. But whatever his exact ranking, it was undeniably high. Aziraphale, on the other hand, is clearly established as a principality, the lowest ranking order of angels. By the end of season 2, he is about to be made Supreme Archangel in place of Gabriel, and this must come with a big power upgrade. So whatever he's capable of before is only going to be increased. He and Crowley will be on more equal footing in terms of raw power in season 3. Now let's establish a few more related facts. There is an odd bit of conversation in the first season, episode 5, when Crowley's in the bar mourning Aziraphale, when who shows up but Aziraphale in his uncorporeal form. Aziraphale tells Crowley that he needs to find a receptive body to inhabit, and he jokes that it's a pity he can't inhabit Crowley's body, but that, being an angel and a demon, they might explode. This might just be a throwaway line, but considering the power we see later when the two work together, I think it is more likely some kind of foreshadowing. Next, at the end of season 1, after helping to avert one doomsday, Crowley predicts that this fight between heaven and hell is not over. He says that next time it will be all of us against all of them. Aziraphale, surprised, says, "Heaven and hell against humanity." Note that when Crowley says all of us against all of them, he is including himself and Aziraphale with the humans. In the final line of season 2, the Metatron says that heaven is now planning the second coming. So These two lines in the final episodes of both Season 1 and Season 2 are clearly setting up the major conflict of Season 3. But let's get back to Season 2. In Episode 3, Gabriel is triggered by the word tempest, and he momentarily seems to regain a memory, and it is a chilling moment. He says,
"There will come a tempest, and darkness, and great storms, and the dead will leave their graves and walk the earth once more. And there will be great lamentations."
Go on.
Every day it's getting closer.
Gabriel snaps right out of it, and Shax interrupts before Crowley can ask further questions. In the final episode of Season 2, the season-long mystery of Gabriel is finally solved. He and Beelzebub are in love, and they want to go off together. There's a moment when they hold hands, and every light in the bookshop glows brightly. It's at this point that we first see the Metatron in line at the coffee shop. We all know he's up to no good, and by the utterly heartbreaking end of this episode, he will have successfully torn Crowley and Aziraphale apart from each other. Now, personally, I think this was 100% accomplished through psychological manipulation of Aziraphale. No miracles or mysteries needed. Aziraphale has never fully left the cult of heaven, and the brainwashing he has endured for 6,000 years is, although not completely intact, still deeply ingrained enough that the Metatron was able to pull him back in with the right promises. But that's a topic for another video, and others have honestly covered it very thoroughly. What I want to cover here is motivation. Why did the Metatron want to tear our ineffable protagonists apart? They had helped to avert the apocalypse with the Antichrist in Season 1, but they didn't do that alone. Adam's power was absolutely vital to that happy ending, not to mention Agnes Nutter and her prophecies, her descendant Anathema, and the bumbling Newt with his nearly miraculous ability to break any technology he touched. And the Metatron leaves our ineffable husbands alone for years after that event. It is only after their miracle and the loss of Gabriel to Beelzebub that the Metatron suddenly has a keen interest. The venom in his looks at Crowley and his cunning looks at Aziraphale are unmistakable. He's here for a very specific reason, and it isn't just to find a replacement for Gabriel. He is trying to preemptively destroy the only force that can interfere with his plans for the Second Coming. He clearly sees the power of Crowley and Aziraphale working together as a threat. So I think that this explains why the Metatron did what he did in the final episode of Season 2. In the Second Coming, we can presume it's not going to be pretty, and that the Christ figure is not going to be someone that they can turn to their advantage. People are going to die. A lot of people. The dead will rise from their graves. That is an actual horror show. There will be no Adam to miracle everything back to the way it was. Gaiman's an excellent writer, and we're not going to just see a repeat of the story of Season 1.
When heaven ends life here on Earth, it'll be just as dead as if hell ended it.
Let's quickly recap the facts. 1. When Crowley and Aziraphale perform a miracle together, it is immensely powerful. 2. Miracles are measured in lazari, which is raising the dead. 3. If they inhabit the same body, they might explode? That seems like a possible reference to something more powerful. 4. Aziraphale is about to get a big power upgrade. And last but absolutely not least, the Metatron is terrified of them being together. So finally we come to it. What exactly is my theory? It is simply this. Aziraphale and Crowley, when together, have immense power. The power to change reality, resurrect the dead, even to challenge or at least face God. They will eventually, and I'm sure after more turbulence and heartache, get back together, even into one body for a brief time, as hinted at in the first season, not just to avert the next apocalypse, but to restore the dead, the people, and the world that they both love so much. As I mentioned a moment ago, I strongly suspect they will confront God herself. I think there will be some sort of conversation with God about her ineffable plan. If you remember, during the Job mini-sode, when God is speaking with Job, both Crowley and Aziraphale are in awe. Crowley wants to speak to God as much as Aziraphale seems to. So let me try to summarize the theory. They will inhabit one body, They will perform an epic miracle together. They will resurrect the dead as part of that epic miracle, and they will speak with God. Anyway, that's my theory. It's a little messy, and perhaps it's simple, and for that I'm sorry. I've never written a video essay before, but I feel very strongly about this. I've become perhaps a little bit obsessed by good omens, and I really wanted to share my thoughts. What do you think about this theory? Please leave your comments below, and I look forward to reading them. Oh, and I've never done this before, so like and subscribe, but I don't know how often I'm going to put out any content, so really, this is just for fun. Oh, a final quick aside. Did anyone else notice that during the Job minisode, Gabriel clearly tells Aziraphale,
"We are the good guys."
Freudian slip much, Gabe? Anyway, Sindaria out.